Good
Well,
evening, viewers.
and welcome to another chaos. Oh wait, no, episode of Fleet Action Report. We're on episode 11.
Yes, episode 11, social aspects.
You know, we probably all should say like, I'm Greebog, you're Nikitas, because some people may not know us yet.
I suppose that would make a certain amount of sense. All right, so welcome to episode 11. I'm Nikitas.
Yeah, I'm Greebog still. You know.
We'll get it right one of these days.
But yeah, so social aspects is going to be the primary target. But first, what have you been up to in the last week?
I went on a camping trip. My kid is in scouting, and we had a scout camp out that we went to. It was fun. It was cold,
chilly?
but it was fun.
I was like, here it got down into the 30s at night. So
Yeah, it did. It did with us too. It was cold. I mean, it wasn't awful. I think the coldest it got was 38, but it was cold. Luckily, I have a good sleeping bag.
Yeah, and I think you said you had picked up cots that you're using too to kind of keep.
I am, yeah.
Those are working out well, I take it.
Yeah, they work really well. You're not sleeping on the ground, so there's an air, barrier between you and the cold ground, and it really does help. So that was fun. But other than that, it's been a pretty normal week.
Good. For me, I tried killing more people in my D&D games because that's just the DM I am. I frustrated one of the players to the point that he had to go walk away for a little bit and come back. You know I have to tease you, man.
I know. That's fair enough.
Let's see. Help people get the Jaina Mountain WoWs. Got some achievements in WoWs. That's been my week.
Sounds like you've been busy.
I'm always busy. I've somehow learned how to sleep again, so, None of this 3-hour sleep or an hour and a half of sleep a night thing. Oh, hey.
I wish I could claim that.
Team invitation. Well, you work nights, man. That just screws it all up.
I'm still here for our viewers. That's the important thing, right?
Yes. But anyway, so this week in STO, the event for To Hell with Honor is still going on, though you no longer have enough time to complete it if you have not started. Though you can do as much as you can and then buy out the rest of it. But I don't know how much that would cost now. There also was an upgrade weekend this last weekend. Yeah. The nice thing about this event, you get the Tabbytha loves the battle pets, the combat pet. There's a vanity pet and there's a combat pet. So that comes with this stuff, to Hell with Honor. And apparently also coming up is the Admiralty bonus days. So that'll be the 24th to the 1st. So if it's a good time to do some Admiralty missions.
Bonus rewards. Can't pass that up.
Yeah. It says you get extra campaign XP, which some of the campaigns for Admiralty are great for gaining dilithium, because once you complete all the way through, you get 40,000 dilithium from one of them, and I think 30,000 from the Ferengi one, I think.
You're still flying the Buran, I see.
I have not fully mastered the ship. It is still at tier 4 out of 5. I'm close. I'm halfway through that last tier. So,
Smaller
speaking of... Speaking of ships, though, one of the other things coming out, which the 24th, which I guess will be in 3 days roughly, they're going to bring in a new bundle for the Nebula Ships, and it will have a Tier 3, a Tier 5, and a new Tier 6. It will also update a lot of the customization options that you can do for the Nebula-style ships, because essentially, if you ever look at the Nebula, it is looks like a Galaxy-class ship ran into a wall and got an extra piece on top. That's a good description, I think. Maybe I can find it here quick. But
these are science ships, so they're going to have a science focus to it, meaning four weapon slots, 3 aft weapon slots. The highest ranking bridge officer will be a science officer. Really good for using those drain attacks or the exotic damage attacks from your science bridge officer abilities. So keep that in mind if you're flying a science ship or you want to give it a try.
I was trying to see if I could. There is the Nebula. I pulled up on my screen. As you can see, it kind of does have the look of the Galaxy class for the saucer, the nacelles. It just has some stuff shifted around. It's supposed to be a pretty decent science vessel, from my understanding. I don't fly science vessels enough to warrant knowing that as fact. But
well, and on top of that, it's just a pretty ship. I always liked the Nebula class.
Yeah. And something.
If the Galaxy is a bigger, more modern version of the Constitution class, then the Nebula is the bigger, more modern version of the Miranda class.
Yeah.
Which is the ship that Khan stole in Wrath of Khan.
But it says there's going to be a Tier 6 Sutherland Advanced research. I don't know if that's different than, because Tabbytha's saying she has a Sutherland fleet version. So I don't know what the difference might be.
I would have to look it up.
Yeah. I don't know. But they're bringing out more ships, and they're not just cruisers, so that's another good thing. It's nice to see them sometimes. Habit is they seem to do a lot of cruisers. I get a lot of people probably favor those because those were featured in all the movies and TV shows mostly, except for DS9 and Voyager. But but there's a lot of cruisers and like the whole series, so I get why they would favor it, because probably people want to fly what they see.
I get that. It is nice when they branch out a little bit, though, so there is that. Today, I believe it was announced today, they also talked about they're going to do Tier 5 reputation buyouts. This is going to take you from rank 0 to Tier 5 in any reputation for 3,000 Zen, which is about $30. If you have paid into the reputation already, that 3,000 Zen will be discounted depending on how much that you've how many reputation projects you put into it. This is not replacing the old way of building rep. You may continue to do that if you so choose. We were unable to find a time that this is going to go live, though. I would think it would be sometime this week. So keep your eye open for that if you're behind in your reputations.
Typically, they seem to like to do things on Thursdays, right, when they release stuff. So
either that or Tuesdays, right after the Tuesday patch.
Yeah, it could be they might wait until next week. Might be why there's no date on it yet. I don't know. I would hope they had it done. Of course, who knows? It might be further off than that. They're just like preparing us. That way people can get a bunch of Zen and.
True enough.
I do think that. Okay, to me, $30 is a lot, especially if you already have a main that's already ranked 5, all the reputations, because it's not going to take your ult that long to get to rank 5. A new player would probably benefit way more just because of the whole fact that you don't get the extra 2,500 bonus for having another tune already at rank tier 5.
You used to have to pay into that. You used to have to complete a project and send an item over to your alt, and then they had to do a special project in order to get the sponsorship. Now it's just automatic.
Which
it's a much simpler program.
Which is
yeah,
definitely a nice thing. So I think that's all the new news.
That was a lot of new stuff. Old business. I mean,
old business.
Primary target. We are discussing social aspects of STO today. So these are the way that you group up in game to share your adventures with friends and colleagues.
And that's how, well, if you have a friend that has come to play with you and whatnot, you can add them. It's not that hard. You go to, by default, O is the social, I believe, right? Yeah, O is social. Pops up the social menu. I think you can also find it on one of the drop downs here.
Maybe. It's on the right side of your map. Looks like three silhouettes right under the mail envelope.
Yes. I was like, I know there's another spot. I just have a habit of hitting the O to get into social.
I don't. I should probably do that.
But it's not hard to add a friend. You just click the add. I have found it always easiest when you're in here to do the @ handle. So, like, I'm at Real Greebog. If you were to type that in, it should then pop up. If I'm online, it will pop up like whatever tune on top in front of that @ handle at the time and autocomplete. Or
they can see it on my screen. I've got it pulled up at Real Greebog. Since he's logged in, it shows the character he's logged in as at top, and then the rest of his alts, which you have a lot of alts, but the rest of his alts are down below that.
It's fine.
In green.
It's fine.
I do too. Don't feel bad. I have a ton of alts too. Type in @Nicodus. It should show you.
And well, only here 4 show up, but I don't think it's showing me your KDF.
Oh, the Cleons, yeah.
I have a lot.
It should show the Romulans. I mean, I got more than 4 characters.
Oh
well.
I don't know. But it's pretty simple to add people. You get their @ handle, and you can add them in, and it will become easy to be able to add them into your friends list. It makes it easier to find them when you're running around.
Then you've got the buttons at the bottom. So I've got Greebog highlighted, and then down here you can see Team Invite, Warp to, or Remove Friend. So if you ever want to discontinue a friendship, unfortunately that need is there. They did add a handy little button right here. So Add Friend is over on the right, and then Remove Friend is here on the left. Team Invite if you want to party with somebody, and then Warp to, I believe, would transwarp you to that person's location. I can practice with that here.
And you can even add in comments if you want to. Like, I could put in here, podcast co-host. Because, I'm going to forget that or something. But
yeah, well, the comments can certainly help with different things.
Well, if let's say they're using a different name than you're used to in this game, and you know them from another game, you could put in like what you know them from in the other games, so that way it's easier for you to remember, or whatever. And there's even the glorious ignore. And as you can see for me, I have people ignored. Um, I would imagine that these people, especially like this FGHTH, is probably a bot that came in and tried to whisper me to buy Zen or, probably dilithium, or I don't know what they. I can't remember what they were trying to sell me or whatnot, and I got annoyed and blocked them.
Well, and then there's, zone chat, which if anybody's played WoW and you remember the good old days of Baron's chat, zone chat is worse.
It's not that bad.
Can be.
I would say zone chat in STO is much friendlier than what I've seen in many other games. Now, I'm not saying there isn't trolls there, and there aren't going to be people that are complete smart butts about stuff. But to me, in general, they are much friendlier and more helpful. If you are genuinely asking for a help question, I've seen more people honestly helping the people in STO than I have seen in other games.
I try. All right, so team ups. As you can see, Greebog and I are in a team right now. You can join a team a variety of ways. You can go to that friends list and hit that team invite button. You can also just type out the command, which I believe is /invite. You can also go to your fleet menu and go to roster and invite from here. So almost any list in the game where you see a player's name, you can invite them that way. You can also just click on a player in game. Like I clicked on this ship, the USS Miami here. Right click on that, and there's an invite to team button. So you can also do it that way.
Doug 7.
It is worth noting that there, in STO, there are two types of leaders here. So there is a team leader and a squad leader. You can see those in the menu here. So you get to that by right-clicking on a team member, and then you can set the team leader or squad leader. By default, both of these are assigned to the person that creates the party, but you're more than welcome to switch this up. The difference is this. The team leader has the ability to kick people from the party, and the squad leader is the one that everybody can level match with. Level matching is primarily useful. Let me get tongue-tied here. If you are teaming up with somebody lower level than you, what you do is you make them squad leader, and then this tiny little button here on the top left of their character marker allows you to match level. Now, Greebog and I are already both max level, so 65, but if you had a lower level teammate, this would allow you to match their level, in which case you would see up here in the top left where it says your rank and Fleet Admiral for me, and then your level, which is 65. You would have a segment on there as well that would say like playing at, and then have another number in parentheses. So if you partner with somebody who's level 28, you level match with them, then it would say, I think it's their name, actually. I think it's their name, and then it shows their current level, which is what your level would be matched to. You do not have to switch gear for that. It's worth noting that all your equipment, your ship, everything gets toned down as far as damage output goes, or shield capacity goes, hull capacity, to match that level. But you don't lose weapon slots. You lose bridge officers. You have all your abilities. Everything just gets toned down for damage. This does make some of the lower level fights relatively easy, because those weren't really set up for ships that have ultra rare or epic items let alone 5 forward weapon slots, or anything like that. So as level matching, you may still find yourself like tearing through enemy forces and whatnot, and that's okay. You're there when you're doing that typically to help the lower level player get through things faster, or just to help them level up, and they will still get full experience and everything, especially since you're level matching. But it also makes the enemies match your level. Therefore, the lower level player isn't fighting, enemies 30 levels higher than them. So it's a neat system. It's actually one of the better level matching systems in a MMO that I have ever ran into. It's just fun, and I use it quite a bit, both to help friends level alts or to assist new players, which I get a kick out of. So if there's any new players listening to this and you need a partner for a day, hit me up.
Or ask your fleet. I'm sure there's people in your fleet that which
we're not two fleets yet.
I know, but
you're jumping the gun.
Also, in the whole big social window, something to note: there is a privacy thing. If you want to restrict or not restrict your visibility, you can do that. So, depends on how open you want to be. So, that's something to note.
Since we are talking about teams, it's worth noting most missions have a ground combat portion. In those mission ground combats, you will always have 5 team members, be they your NPC bridge officers or other players. If you are in a team of less than 5 players, then the screen will pop up and show you guys exactly who's bringing what officers with them. We will try to show you that here in just a minute. And then if you're queuing if you want to do a TFO together, which we can show you real quick. So you would go to, let's see, not that menu, this menu. There we go. Hit the wrong button. You would go to the operations menu here. Only the team leader can do this. And keep in mind, again, there is a difference between a team leader and a squad leader. So the team leader can queue the group up. This is a group queue. So once you click on this, you hit the join task force button either here or over here on the right, and you will queue your whole team for that operation. Let's see here.
And a great way to do TFOs is with a team of people you know.
It does make it more fun.
Then they can all laugh at you when you no.
We're going to talk for a little bit more here, and then we will try to run a TFO or a mission so you can see some of the stuff that we're talking about here. Fleets. We're going to talk about fleets for a minute. Fleets is one of the best social aspects of the game. This is handled relatively uniquely, although WoW tried to implement a similar program a few years ago with moderate success. And then they removed the system. So you find a fleet. If you're not in a fleet, then this button right here will be dimmed, and there's a you can go back to that social menu, and there's a find fleet button right here. But if you're in a fleet, after you join a fleet, this button lights up, and this is everything to do with your fleet. Now, I am not a fleet leader. Greebog is, so I'm going to let him talk about fleets.
So, as you could see on the overview, we are both in Alea Iacta Est classes. We if you're looking for a fleet, we will take anyone that's willing to follow the rules and be nice and friendly. The main rule being don't be a dick. There are other things with other fleets on rules, what they have, but I mean, that would be
a little bit different.
Yeah. We do have, like most fleets have a web page. AIE has a web page. It would be aie-guild.org. And then that will let you join our Discord, which you can then come to the STO channel to come and join us. And other fleets will have their own ways of getting you in and whatnot. But one of the big things on fleets are the well, I get that's finding the fleet is one thing. Leaving a fleet's easy. I'll do that quick, and you hopefully won't have to do this much. But typically on your roster, like when you're in a fleet, when you go to the roster, down in the bottom right there is a leave fleet button. I kind of don't like that they made it right next to the invite button for me. So if I oops ever, hopefully I would assume that there is a check to say, are you sure you want to leave?
There's a confirmation box.
Though you will also notice I have many more buttons down here than probably Nikitas does on his screen for the whole fleet roster, because I can export it. I can export the entire list, which will be a CSV. Not probably something many people need or will do. It could be useful for, say, an officer who's trying to do some analytics about their fleet. But, there's obviously the kick promote. Reinstate, I'm not sure what... That's grayed out, I guess. I don't know what that would be. I guess maybe...
I think that's if the fleet itself goes defunct.
Oh.
Then you can reactivate it later.
Okay. And then there's obviously a demote button for those people that need demoting.
Yeah, I don't have that button.
I have promote, demote, kick. I have all the buttons.
There is a note section here. In the friends list, you can control the notes. In the fleet list, only the player can set their own note. But there is a note list here.
There is also officer notes. There's also something like, if you notice up here, the status is what changes on what you see for each person in the roster. I don't know how much others can see. I know you can see member comments and probably status. Maybe the overall holding contribution. I'm not sure. But I can, there's other options here, being that I'm an officer. So the big thing about fleets are holdings.
And the fleet projects.
All fleet holdings have their own projects. They all have their own tier system. They, depending upon the type of holding, depends on whether it has a 3-tier system or a 5-tier system. A starbase, every fleet starts with one. It starts out at rank, tier 0. You have to work it up. But it is a big, starbases are a bit thing. So obviously it's a tier. It has 5 tiers, and you have 3 branches. They take quite a bit of resources, and everyone in the fleet can contribute. And as time goes, you'll continue working up, depending upon your fleet size, depending upon how active people are. There's a lot of variables, because you could have some people that are super gung-ho and push, and they might be able to grind it out faster than in one fleet versus another. I would honestly, I've been impressed on how well we've been able to manage to progress our fleet holdings in the times that our fleet has done. To me, it's been pretty good. So. And we're closing in, it looks like. Oh, hey, we're almost on the science tier 4. Ooh.
You complete these. These get you a bunch of different rewards. There's a visual aspect to it as you complete the holdings and level up holding rank. The way that your holdings appear in game changes, and you can visit all of these areas. You can visit the colony world, the dilithium mine, the embassy, the K-13 starbase, all of them. And the visuals do change as they level up. But more than that, there are fleet versions of some of the ships. Yes, rewards. The big one is the fleet ships. These are advanced ships that are slightly better than their standard version. Usually they have more shield hull points and additional, what am I thinking of? Console slots.
Yeah.
That put them above their non-fleet variant. Sometimes they have a unique look to them as well, so they're kind of fun to get. But there's more than just that. Even there's certain equipment. There's bridge officers and duty officers. Almost every holding has its own special boffs and doffs. And then each holding has some unique rewards.
Like, Starbase, there is some special uniform options at the tailor for your fleet. You just have to go to the tailor vendor and pick them up. There are also, like he said, Starbase. That is where you unlock your fleet ships, and depending upon your shipyard is which versions are unlocked. Further you go, the more fleet ships are unlocked. Now, something a lot of people probably don't know where some of the ultra rare hangar pets come from. Those are always coming from the science tier on the Starbase, and the further you have to get science tier 5 to get to the ultra rare. So, but yeah, there's each holding also has vendors for elite or other gear. It's a great way if you are just fresh leveling and you have some of the fleet credits to just hit the vendor and get some just elite weapons or very rare weapons for your ship until you can get the sets going.
You also get transwarp options. You can transwarp to the fleet holdings. I just transwarped to the fleet starbase, so anybody who's looking at my screen right now can see what our starbase looks like.
The Spire is an interesting holding. It came in with the Dyson spheres and stuff like that in the storyline. That's where some of the best consoles in the game currently are. I say currently because they keep adding stuff. So, I mean, it may not stay the best consoles in the game, but and that would be the vulnerability locator exploiter. There's two of them. One's a locator, one's an exploiter, and depending upon your build will depend on which one you want to have on your ship. Then we also have Research Lab. That was brought in with the Delta Quadrant stuff and all the Crenum and that storyline that they put in. The Research Lab is where you get your extra trait slots. I know we talked about how we have... Typically, you have only 4 starship traits, 4 space reputation traits, 4 ground reputation traits, and 4 active reputation traits. The 5th one is unlocked in all of those. As you level up your Research Lab, you'll be able to purchase from there the 5th slot. So that way you can have one more trait in all of them, which is actually really awesome because it kind of gives you an extra advantage when you're playing. Some of these traits come in very handy, so having an extra trait really comes in handy. Another thing to note is if you do research and development, the R&D, you can get an extra R&D slot to do more crafting. So definitely something worth picking up. We have the warp to K13. We're going there, aren't we? I'm going there. K13 is an interesting place. Let's see. I guess other holdings. Where is... Do we not have the fast travel to K13?
I don't think we do yet. I was just looking for that myself. That's one we still have to work at. K13 is a station out of time. You can get some empowered traits there. You can basically get a second level of most of the basic traits, which is pretty cool. There's a biologist in the science lab, so you kind of have to go find him. We went exploring the other day and kind of came across them accidentally, but
Well, I heard that they were there, or there was something there to do it. I just wasn't sure what they were. What, like, I heard about this, but where is it? So we went exploring. K-13 has seen better days, but it's basically the original series Starbase, or at least that style. I'm pretty sure there was at least one Starbase in the original series that they had used, and that's where they modeled it after. There was one of the missions that you travel back in time in one of these older Starbases as well. They finally made it as a holding for us. I can pull up in the holdings. You can at least look at it through here. So in this image, you can see in the holdings here what it looks like, and it had seen better days, but yeah, it's still a mess. Now, when they brought out New Romulus, they put in the embassy, which I guess that was that was after, or when just Born Gear and you and I were playing. So
yeah, back in the good old days.
Well, no, I was like, because we were running around on New Romulus. I was like, oh yeah, we can go to the embassy here. The embassy is on New Romulus. You can get there physically, or you can. We have the fast travel there. But something to note about some of the notable things there, you get extra duty officer assignment slots there. So if you want to do more, I think you can get 3 extra duty officer assignment slots total from that once you have maxed everything out. Or maybe, let's see, where is it? I know they talk about it here. Anyway, I'm pretty sure you get 3 extra duty officer assignment slots. You just have to, your fleet has to unlock the ability to purchase them. There are also some special duty officers. The only reason I'm mentioning this because these duty officers have a special trait, being that they are Romulan, and they have. I have them assigned on my guy once I find it. Let's see, active space. Where are the? I thought I had them on this guy. But essentially, there's some special guys that add some extra damage, I believe, for your. I don't know. But there's some decent duty officers from there. The dilithium mine, now, this one is probably the one that most fleets, especially new fleets, will max out now. And that is because it is the one that gives you discounts.
Discounts are good.
Because if you have noticed, so if I were to queue up, well, here's a project. Typically, this project is a dilithium project. It's for vanity. It does nothing other than add something that is just cosmetic. It normally would be 200,000 dilithium, but because we have maxed out our dilithium mine and all the discounts that are there, it's only 144,000. And that also discounts how many fleet marks are required. That discounts, I think, I don't know, it discounts a lot of different requirements for the projects for you. Which is why a lot of fleets will max out their dilithium mine to try to get all of the bonuses. Now, another thing to note about going to the dilithium mine is the fact that you can go there physically and do mining projects. You'll get a mission to go out and mine around on the moon bay or outside the asteroid, and you'll get some dilithium.
Wear your spacesuit.
Yeah, wear a spacesuit, otherwise you'll die. Something about not having oxygen makes it hard to breathe. But that's one of the big things. It's not far also from the Ferengi. Here, let me go to the galaxy map because it's on there. The Volgata asteroid field where you can go and do mining, dilithium mining there as well. Because you can actually see here on my map, the fleet dilithium mine is like pretty much adjacent to the asteroid field.
And then the last one is the colony world. At least the last one for now. They seem to add these things periodically.
Yeah, the last one right now is the colony world. There's initially when they put in the colony world, they did not have much of anything as in rewards for it, but they have completely changed that. They finally put in. Well, I shouldn't say finally. It's been a while since I put them in, but when the colony world went live, it did not have much of anything for rewards. But now, if you want elite fleet space secondary deflector arrays, this is the place to go. There's also a Proto Matter Matrix Infuser, which is a plus weapon damage and a plus shield regen. So if you are looking for something to increase your weapon damage, and what I mean by weapon damage, it'll be like plus phaser, and then it will have a big plus shield regen on it. So if you're looking for something to help you survive a bit better, but yet still output more damage, it's not a terrible one to pick up. I know I've seen some people recommend those consoles for basically that reason, to increase your damage, but also survivability. That's the quick and dirty. There are way more things at all of these holdings. Because, like I said, there's bridge officers at a lot of these. There's duty officers at a lot of these. There's other perks and rewards, and yeah. We can't probably name off all of them and still keep it under an hour.
Right. All right, so I think we're going to go ahead and queue up for the daily TFO. So you guys can see, we ran this the other day in our last show too, but we're going to run this again. And Tabby is going to join us for this, Greybog.
Okay.
So they can kind of see how that works. And it's ready. That was fast.
And
So,
Tabby has been helping us with show notes, so definitely thank you, Tabby, for that.
yes, indeed. Thank you. Waiting for the beam up here. So we mentioned away teams. Unfortunately, I think we're going to run out of time today to be able to highlight that. We did have a show featuring ground combat a couple weeks ago. You can find that show on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search Fleet Action Report. It's kind of interesting, though, because in SCO, there's always 5. When you queue up, there's going to be 5 people with you, regardless if they're players or NPC bridge officers. There's going to be 5. Obviously, in the shows, the number of people that beam down varied from mission to mission, but it was a thing that happened. There is something that's really big in the shows, though, especially the next gen, that STO does not follow, and that's captains are not typically allowed to beam down on away missions. I remember several times Riker and Picard had that conversation. I guess Starfleet believed that captains were a kind of a rare commodity and worth protecting. So typically, it was the first officer that would lead the away teams. In STO, that is not really the case. Your captain is your character, and if you want to beam down on an away mission, then I guess that's left up to your character, and you go for it. That said, I did used to play with a guy, one of the other fleets I was in for a while. His thing was he followed that. His captain did not beam down. So he had his character set up with a vastly different appearance if he was on his ship or hanging out on a starbase versus beaming down to a dangerous away mission. He said that he did that because it was his first officer that beamed down to away missions. I always thought that was an interesting take on the game use of the character creator and whatnot. But he had a lot of fun with it. Oh, I'm getting pummeled here. Shields, shields.
You're getting pummeled. I've got the Lucara on me, so it's fine.
That is a tough ship. I need to regen some shields here.
Okay. Back on target.
Okay. Another thing to mention is, as you can see in this fight, we're kind of maneuvering around to get target in sights. Both of our ships are cruisers, so they turn a little slower. Usually I fly escorts, and that changes things. They move a little faster and whatnot, but... Ow, that hurt. I actually feel that STO does a fairly good job of representing the ships. In a lot of times in the shows, especially the older ones, it really seemed like a lot of ships just kind of set in place and fired, or they would do very slow turning. I remember in yesterday's Enterprise, when you see the Enterprise C and D battling the Klingons, like they were very slow moving, slow to turn ships. And I feel that STO captures that. In retrospect, in Deep Space Nine, we got our first look at an escort class. We got the Defiant. And the Defiant was a very fast, very maneuverable ship. So I do think that STO does a fairly good job of capturing those differences. And they're fairly accurate with it.
I think they yeah, for the space and whatnot, I think they've done a great job on the inertia. I mean, you can really kind of feel it, especially when you do a power slide, as I like to call it. You know, because like you go full throttle in and you're turning, but yet you then stop all front forward motion, and you can just see your ship sliding basically as you're turning. I mean, I'm sure that was a maneuver in the show.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I missed part of that, Greebog. You said a maneuver in the show?
Oh, I'm sure that like the power slide, like, you know, doing some kind of power slide was a maneuver in the show.
The Enterprise D does something similar to that in one of the episodes. They're going backwards and they kind of flip the saucer around. I think that's the only time you really see the Enterprise D do that kind of maneuver. But yeah. Oh, there's a lot of turrets here. This is gonna hurt.
We have more ships get away, so it's going to be a bigger fight here.
Ships in... Yeah, I saw that. We had a few of them get away from this area here. These turrets down.
They did keep the weapon types for the different races from what was used in shows, movies to the... Oh, we only have 4 of us.
Yeah, we've had somebody bail. I just noticed that too. Oh, we're up here fighting the car. All right.
We can still get this. It's just going to be rough. Or more rough. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge.
We can get rid of this Negvar. That will help. There she goes. Now it's just a Lucara. They really did. So the Klingons have pretty universally in the shows stuck with disruptors. They have done the same in STO. Romulans are really the only one that's different. In the shows, for the longest time, they referred to Romulans as using disruptors as well. But in STO, they go with plasma. That's interesting to note, though, because in the original series, Romulans were introduced in an episode called The Balance of Power. It's one of my favorite TOS episodes. You should check it out if you haven't. In Balance of Power, though, the Romulan weapon is a giant plasma torpedo that can be targeted and destroyed, which is where I think STO gets that from. A lot of the plasma weapons, if you use high yield on them, they summon this giant targetable torpedo. And that's where I believe that idea came from. I kind of think it's not the best idea in a game. It doesn't always work that well. Those targetable weapons can be destroyed relatively easily. But it's pretty accurate to the shows, and I'm going to blow up again. Yep. Lots of gunfire.
I should be getting their attention. I'm doing fire at will and Chemosite and more fire at will and I'm blowing up reactors and, you know. Of course, so is Tabby here, so. Destroy it.
As far as the weapon types go, we've seen in the shows, we've seen beam weapons, typically phasers. And you ever notice in TOS, and even in the early TNG episodes, like everybody used phasers, or they at least called all the weapons phasers?
Well,
it wasn't until later in TNG that they started using various weapon types.
The thing is you could probably base that off of if you see a new gun or weapon, you may not know how it works, and you may just assume it's similar to what you have. So you could probably go with naivety of the user type thing, on why that everyone has a phaser when it could be. Plus also, if that's all they really mainly know, it could be like, hey, we call everything a gun. That the phaser is essentially just saying gun.
That's true. That does make a certain amount of sense.
I mean, us Earthlings tend to do stuff like that of, yeah, if one thing's that, everything's that. Darn Earthlings.
Oh, that hurt.
Well, don't get so close. Well, we won't get tons of extra marks, but we'll get marks. We'll get plenty.
And it counts for the reward that Tabby was talking about. Her little pet that she wants. Kind of missing my escort here, though.
I'm right here. What do you want?
Oh, there's still enemy things to blow up. Now let's go over here and do that.
Heck, because this is going to be not such a landslide like other times I've done this, I may actually get the experience needed to max my mastery. Wow, that was pretty impressive. I'm gonna guess that was Tabby with all her science stuff
yeah,
going.
That's what it looked like.
All the pretty colors and explosions. fine. I'll shoot disruptor cannons as I fly by. Thought I was out of range.
Shoot. These things are critting me left, right, and center, and it hurts.
Okay, coming in hot. Slowing down. I'm gonna mark targets. There we go. And yes, if I'm in Discord chatting with people, sometimes I talk just like this, telling people what I'm doing, so they know what's going on. Because that's how I play. Oh boy. Oh, I didn't get it in time. I was going for my miracle repair. Saw the 23%. I'm like, oh gosh, click, click, click. Go, go, go.
Yeah, I could use that right about now. We kind of got distracted there. So weapon types. Most of the ships that you see use some sort of beam weapon in the shows. Obviously, that is an option here as well. Cannons weren't introduced until you get to Deep Space Nine, where the Defiant used phaser cannons.
Enterprise followed with that. With the they had cannons on the, I guess, NX
before they got
class.
their phase.
Yeah.
They called them phase cannons in that, but they fired beams. Their original weapon, though, was very obviously some sort of plasma cannon. I gotta turn around.
Something
here.
also to note, and I know you and I talked about it outside of this, so with the maneuvering, if you ever notice how ships will always have an up and down, and
In space, yes.
space. Well, technically even here, but it's more obvious here where up and down would be because you have a ground.
Right. In the mission we're at right now, yeah, since we're assaulting a ground force. But even in the shows, like the ships always face the same orientation and whatnot. They actually have an in-universe explanation for that. They mention it a few times in the various shows. They call it attitude control. Somehow their ships are able to detect with other ships what the up position is and orient their ship to match. I believe in Enterprise at one point in time they even mentioned the difference, like they needed to orient prior to meeting up with another ship or something like that.
Yeah. Something though I think they have done with you would be able to do, say, a barrel roll, or I know the Defiant, they have shown it do some fancy maneuvers. Now you can do that technically with, I think, the pilot specialization gives you an ability, but other than that there are no barrel rolls for your ships.
Yeah, I actually, on my one of my escorts, I have that pilot ability. It's kind of fun, but it's absolutely right. You cannot do barrel rolls or loop-de-loops in STO. Ow, they cut me down really quick.
Yeah.
That hurt.
Well, I think a lot of us blew up, and so let's see what I can do. I'm going to start cutting down some of this.
Although it should be noted that in the TNG episode Relics, the Enterprise D actually tilts up on its axis at one point, and it actually shows it. While it's not a barrel roll, it was kind of an interesting maneuver that they did.
See, this is where it's going to get the rough.
The walkers will continue to spawn. If we take out the ships, though, they will not.
I am taking a heck of a pounding. I'm running out of cooldown. Oh good, this is back. I love that ability. Nope, too bad. I don't know what hit me, but it was big. I'm gonna guess the big launcher, or yeah. Ow. 127k and a hit.
This is talking a little bit.
Okay. Here, I'm going to go out, stay on this side, and try to weed out some of these ships.
It's not the ships that are the problem. It's the walkers, but they keep spawning.
Well, if we can weed out some of these ships, we will take less damage, and then when we do fire at will, it will cut down the rest of the, you know, targets for the fire at wills.
True enough.
That is my main concern. Because once we can cut down some of the damage, I don't know that the big ship or the big walker and its little walkers will be as bad. Because we'll cut down those special beams and things that are shooting. Looks like someone has lured away some of the...
Ladies and gentlemen, this is carrying over into the 10 o'clock hour. This mission is taking a little longer than expected. Certainly, we have covered our topic for the day. Our topic next week is going to be... we're going to continue our series on the enemies of STO. So we are going to do Enemies Part 2. We're going to include the Cardassians in that. And some of the Dominion ships, which are part of the Cardassian faction. So, you know, tune in next week to see Enemies Part 2. We may have an additional guest with us as well to help us take on those enemies. Should be a good episode. Should be a lot of explosions, some fun booms. We will keep the stream going for right now just to finish this up so we can destroy this walker. If you want to stick with us, please do. But we understand, too, if you guys need to bail and do your own thing for the rest of the night.
This does go to show you, if someone does leave a mission, you can still complete it. It's not over. It may be rough. It may be more challenging. But it's definitely not the end of the, you know... Just...
True, that's worth noting. Oh, here, I can actually do my barrel roll. Here we go.
As I could see you do that from here.
That's, I forgot, that's actually a captain specialization trait, not a bridge officer power. While it does require the pilot specialization, it is not a bridge officer. I'd forgotten about that.
There it goes. Walker
okay, now we just
down.
have to clean up. There's only 3 little ones left. This shouldn't take long.
That's with my fire at will going, you know, I probably... and your fire at will, and, you know...
There we go. Oh, that was a little rougher than usual, but we got there in the end. You get to pick your reward pack here. I still got over 100, 134. That's not bad.
Not bad. I got 161, but I have a bonus thing going. Yeah.
I do not have a bonus.
Oh, and for those that are paying attention, I've painted my ship sometime between last episode and this episode. Well, I was like, I got a close up when I was, leaving. That I'm like, oh yeah, you probably might have noticed.
All right, viewers. Well, thank you for sticking with us. As always, I will leave you with the words of John Delancey at the end of All Good Things. See you out there.
Live long and prosper.